Tilio.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Wartilia channel. My name is Lance. I was supposed to be joined by Jot today, but he had a work emergency. Today I'm going to be talking about the Age of Sigmar Grand Tournament held in Las Pinas, southern Metro Manila for the first time ever, the Great Mawpit Cookout of 2025. This tournament saw 9 generals going at it in a stormy weekend to claim the Golden Spoon. So here's how it went. It was primarily sponsored and hosted by Armored Komodo Las Pinas and hosted by the Doom Divers South team, led by Meggy Mendoza, TO'd by Miguel Aguila, or Eagle in our community, and the social media was handled by Jess De La Cruz. Last weekend, I was able to take the Baleful Lords army, and this is an army that I've wanted to field in a GT for a very long time. I think prior to this event, it's gotten a lot of 4-1 results, but I kind of wanted to bring something relatively light because I've been feeling, honestly, a little bit burnt out by life recently. Nothing too serious, I just wanted something chill. So I brought the Baleful Lords, and they have a lot of really interesting tricks. They have a lot of anti-magic stuff. Not that I saw a lot of magic affect me, really. But they also have these rampages that stop commands from being used, which is honestly kind of insane. It's like Roar Plus, because it affects everything within combat range. It also has another one where they can move at the end of the Khorne player's turn. I chose Restless in Energy and Intercept and Recover because this was basically the smashiest version of Khorne that's ever existed. It's basically walk forward and kill, and if your opponent gives you the second turn, you play for the double and you try to break their faces open by curling all 5 Bloodthirsters in a fist. It's led by a Wrath of Khorne Bloodthirster with Unrivaled Battle Lust, which once per game gives +1 attack to all units within 12 inches of him. And the Crown of the Slaughterborn, which honestly was really good this tournament. It stops all healing from enemies and stops them from recurring models, which was pretty relevant in a few of the matches. I have 2 Bloodthirsters of Inveterate Fury and 2 Bloodthirsters of Insensate Rage, and I had a Skull Altar in my back pocket just in case I wanted to deal with manifestations. But I intentionally made the army a 5-drop so I have advantage in the priority roll. In round 1, I played against Danjo Kasim and his Slaves of Darkness. Really awesome Slaves of Darkness. They all look like the Lich King, essentially, if you can see the picture in the screen. The army is called a bullet train. Is a high-speed passenger train that travels much faster than traditional trains, often at speeds of 250 to 320 kilometers per hour or more. The term originally refers to Japan's Shinkansen, the world's first high-speed rail system launched in 1964, named Bullet Train because of its aerodynamic bullet-shaped front and exceptional speed. And as I go through this list, you're going to see why it's called that. So this army is essentially like a 1-drop that's super fast and super killy. It is also walk forward and kill, and it was pretty challenging. Round 1 was Bountiful Equinox, which meant we had to kind of walk forward to fight. And what I just did was I just threw 2 Bloodthirsters forward to split his army. They were able to charge but not do a lot of damage because he made a lot of good saves. And he held one of his units in reserve. I basically tried to slowly move up the field while slowly baiting out his movement, and eventually on one turn, he won prio, took it, tried to charge in. Unfortunately, due to a good redeploy and the 9-inch charge, he wasn't able to really make it. But the next turn, I charged everything back at him and basically made it my push turn and stopped him. It's led by Abraxia, the soggy Abraxia, Spirit of the Everchosen. He's got the Reinforced Varangard, the Blackstorm Apostates, Reinforced Varangard, Hounds of the Apocalyptus, and the Betrayers of the Anvil King, a normal 330-point unit of Varangard. One of them, I can't remember which is which, but one of them has a 6 of Ward save, another one has +1 to their attacks, another one has +3 to the movement. What's cool about this is that it is the Swords Coast Army of Renown, And what happens is at the start of each round, you get to pick one ability to give to the entire army. Like, they pledge to a different god each time. So it's like pledging, but for the entire army. And it works very, very well for this kind of setup where the whole army is basically trying to do the same thing. Just like me, he went with Intercept, Recover, and Restless Energy. And it basically became a smash fest, so it was a very killy game of Warhammer. So in round 2, I had Creeping Corruption against Francois Pollin, or Frank as we'd like to call him. Back-to-back Slaves to Darkness, but this was a very different type of list. I got to play against Kuya Bella's Bulalong Caballo. So this is something I forgot, unfortunately. I should have named my list Dinuguan, but all of us were supposed to name our lists based on, like, Filipino food. Because it's the Mawpit Cookout, right? Haha, zing zing. So, unfortunately, I forgot. I'm a goof. And I'm the only guy here without a cool, like, list name. So Frank brought his Darkoath Horde. And he had Intercept and Recover and plus Restless Energy. Darkoath Horde basically means that if you have a Darkoath hero, you get to bring back half a unit of Darkoath Marauders or Fell Riders from the board edge. And this made for a much techier version of Slaves to Darkness than we're all used to. To top it off, they have Be'lakor, the Dark Master, and a unit of Reinforced Varangard. That's, the primary hammer and control piece. Then the first regiment has a Darkoath Chieftain with Death Dealer and Amulet of Chaos for extra damage. It's got 2 units of Marauders and a unit of Reinforced Fell Riders with the Dread Banner. Really meaty unit that can pin an enemy and surprisingly tanky. So you really have to commit if you want to deal with them in combat. And lastly, for the first time ever, I got to see this Regiment of Renown, the Cursed Steel Battery, which is really strong because it has the Tormentor Bombard and the Rocket Battery. The Rocket Battery for killing monsters and the Bombard for denying commands, although it's more for killing infantry and cavalry, but really it's for denying commands. And the Demon Smith, which reduces damage on them and can also cast spells and shoot. This was a 3-drop, and this game, I was able to take this game as well, but I had to slow roll it quite a bit. I had to move around the map. Unfortunately, I think Frank deployed his artillery pieces on the back corner, on the corner left side of the map, and I basically threw all my Bloodthirsters around to the right side, and just waited for a turn where I could throw my entire army in, while being cognizant of Be'lakor being there. So I tried as much as possible to give him, to take top of round, just so that I could mitigate what happened to Be'lakor. And he gave me first, and I always maintained priority going first. And there was just one turn where I collapsed into him, tagged the Varangard, and unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to do very much after, like, the Varangard and Be'lakor were killed. The Boomthirster did quite a bit as well. The Boomthirsters basically did quite a lot in this match, and slowly I was able to push forward, take the Curse Battery, and just stop him from scoring, like, maybe around 3. Round 3, I didn't get a good picture of him because, well, the slide was prepared in the way that, Jot would be presenting alongside me. But I was playing in the Life Roots against my good friend and clubmate Joseph Garay, Sylvaneth player, very strong player. His list is called Kurnoth Salad with Crispy Seekers, and he got the War Grove of the Burgeonin. He has Wrathful Cycles and Intercept and Recover, which, honestly, Intercept and Recover is fine, but Wrathful Cycles is really bad in the Life Roots. And he'd have to score that much later by basically tabling me, because you have to control more objectives than your opponent to score the first mission. And Life Roots only has 2 objectives, each of us contesting 1 each. He has Lord of the Deepwood and Manifestation of the Deepwood. He has a War Song Revenant with a War Singer, which for extra movement, Ranu's Lamentary. I don't remember what that does, but I think it's the once per game, like Unbind, which I don't care about because I don't cast spells. He has a Scourge of Giran, Revenant Seekers, Reinforced for Shock Cavalry, Scourge of Giran, Drycha Hamdreth, which ignores Ward Save, very annoying. Arch Revenant to buff the Kurnoth Hunters, Belthanos, and a Branch Witch, which is really tricky because it can give Strike first, on a 3+. Spite Revenants as well, just to round off the list to make it a 4-drop. In this matchup, I think that he just made an error and took first turn, And against an army like the Baleful Lords, which is against any army that you define to be a smash list, whether it be Varangard, Baleful Lords, or all Magma Droths, you almost never want to take first turn against them because a double turn back is extremely brutal. And honestly, this is probably the game where the dice, like, worked with me so much. It was kind of shameful, like, how bad it was, because he took first, moved slightly forward to gather as many life roots as possible. Then I walked forward, charged, like, his Spite Revenants and his Kurnoth Hunters with essentially everything. And if you can see the screen, he put a Wildwood down the middle. I charged that one as well and used it as an anchor, and basically wiped all 3 of those off the map. Well, I didn't kill the Wildwood. The Wildwood survived, I think. And then I was able to take the double. I had a reroll because I had 5 drops, and I charged in with the rest of the Thirsters into the rest of his army, and it was kind of insane because one of the one Bloodthirster that could affect everything else had 3 booms in it and dealt, like, I think a total of around 50 damage from the attacks, and like 3 booms on like 6 different units, which honestly, like, after that the game was pretty much over. By the end of the turn he only had Belthanos left. He teleports him to the other side of the map, and my Bloodthirsters just, you know, go 180, charge at him, and just score maximum points. Minus the 5 points I got from, like, Intercept and Recover, the double from Intercept and Recovery. It was a good game, and this matchup was kind of tough because the Warsong Revenant negates wards, Drycha ignores wards, but unfortunately taking first in this matchup was kind of a big mistake. Then we got to go over to Nico's house, like, and sleep over, talk about the next day, and chill. And the next day I play against another really good friend, Christoph Alejo, another clubmate of mine, who brought his Flesh Eater Quartz with his very memey army list, Wuhan Bat Soup, and please don't cancel us, internet. Or a second Terror Geist has hit the oh no, okay. So, did not think about that too hard, but yeah. We like to have fun here, I guess, if this is your idea of fun. So, he brought the Royal Hunt, he got Master of the Paths and Restless Energy, with Lore of Madness, Rites of Delusion, and Aetherwrought Machineries for the free endless spells. Or, I mean, manifestations, I guess, because we're not in 3rd ed anymore. He's led by the, you know, ubiquitous Ushuran. He got 2 units of Crypt Ghouls, 2 units of Crypt Guards, so that's around like 60 bodies right off the bat. The Crypt Guard being particularly fierce because they can give strike first. He has an Abhorrent Ghoul King on Royal Terror Geist with Savage Abomination, Savage Beyond Reason. So very savage guy. Charnel Vestments also, he cosplays as a priest, you know, and in fact that makes a lot of sense. He also has High Falconer Felgrin to buff up his Crypt Ghouls and make it so that it's harder to take control of objectives. And he has a Royal Terrorgeist and a Royal Zombie Dragon and a Charnel Throne to boot. List is a 2-drop, and it's basically a monster mash list with a lot of utility from the Hordes to take form screens, pin things down so that the monsters can come out and kill. So, this was a match. We were playing passing seasons, and so we deployed in corners. He gave me the first turn, and I essentially committed a Bloodthirster over to my left objective, and then I threw the rest of my army to my north objective so that I could score max. And my plan was to try to commit him to the center or have him move slightly forward so that if I took Prio next turn, I would just throw all my Bloodthirsters at him and test his screens. I wanted to fight him with Baleful Lords, at least. You kind of want to fight your opponent while everything is together, because you want to you're gambling on the booms trying to get value for you. In this case, the booms didn't quite get value for me, but as you can see on the screen, this was, I think, like midway through the top of 2. My Bloodthirsters were clearing the screens, and one of the other Bloodthirsters managed to solo the Terror Geist. I have a Bloodthirster like on my left. Eventually, he moved up just so he could kill a treasure unit, which is the 10 Crypt Guard. And I wanted to basically kill as many of his units as possible. He recurred some units and used the Zombie Dragon to deep strike to teleport to the other side of the map to take the objective. But I think that, just like with my previous game, if you're fighting Baleful Lords, you don't want to play the mission. The army is fast enough to dictate the match to becoming like a smash fest. So what you want to do is you want to smash the Baleful Lords. If by round 3 2 Bloodthirsters are dead, I think 2 or 3 Bloodthirsters are dead, I think you're in a pretty good spot. You want to throw the full weight of your army at the Baleful Lords and try to isolate Bloodthirsters because the weakness of the army, just like with Suns, is action economy. Like, the recursion will definitely help, but I think the focus initially should have been killing my guys and not recursion. Either way, great game. So at this point, I'm 4-0, and I'm going into round 5, and I played against Miguel Samson with his Ironjawz. All ham, no breaks. Okay, so this one is kind of a wild game. This guy is like from the Black Komodos. Well, so is Christoph, Frank, and Danja. They're all from like the gaming club, the Black Komodos, and they frequent the Arkom Las Pinas Paint Lounge. He brought the Ironjawz Brawl. He had Wrathful Cycles, Restless Energy, Lord of the Dam, Manifestations of Gorka Morka, and he had Jordrak, the Fist of Pork. Gordrak, but we like to have fun here. Maulgrunta Gougers with Fast One, Tusk Boss and Maulgrunta with Armor of Gork and Hulkin Brute. So, because he wants the board saves. He has Kragnos, 2 units of 3 Gorgruntas, a Weird Knob Shaman, and a unit of Gorgruntas. So that was the faction terrain. With the faction terrain Boss Rock Tower, he had a 3-drop. And he started off with... he started off taking the first turn, actually. And this is, in my opinion, not the best move, but he went for something very daring. He used Fast One with the Gouger to move up to a Bloodthirster, and he was able to use Mighty Destroyer and Tusk Boss to move forward. He teleports Kragnos next to my units, but he teleported in such a way that Kragnos had to navigate like an impassable terrain feature. So the Gougers and the Tusk Boss charge into a Bloodthirster, but with the Bloodthirsters -1 to hit, -1 to wound tech, and an all-out defense, it was brought low but not killed. So the next turn, what I had to do was basically charge everything in, avoiding Kragnos, try to cripple him as much as possible. I threw 1 Bloodthirster on my right to be a lane bully because I wanted to fight. I knew 1 Bloodthirster could take 6 Gorgruntas, and I wanted to force Gordrak to move to the right to commit to fighting him instead of joining the main fight against the 4 Bloodthirsters, because fighting both Gordrak and Kragnos at the same time is challenging even for the Bloodthirsters. On this turn, I was able to kill both big pigs rather, and 1 Bloodthirster was able to lift a unit of 3 Gorgruntas. I couldn't engage Kragnos though because my charge rolls weren't good, and I was just bracing myself for impact next turn. Fortunately, I was able to win the Prio roll, which is, the reason you never want to give second turn to the Baleful Lords. I won Prio, charged everything. Before I could charge everything, he made a brilliant play. He he cast a spell on my turn, teleporting Gordrak to be right next to Kragnos in a way that I had to engage both of them if I wanted to fight. So what happened was, I just circled around and charged into him, into Kragnos. Unfortunately, Gordrak failed the 8-inch charge, rolling a 7, and I was able to kill Kragnos and kill the rest of his army, minus the Weird Knob Shaman and Gordrak. He took the next turn, of course, like bottomed the round. He charges with Gordrak. Unfortunately, Gordrak couldn't handle like 3 or 4 Bloodthirsters, and the game was essentially settled in round 2. I think that if Kragnos was able to get the charge in, if he had been a bit more conservative with deployment, he would have definitely gotten me, as this matchup was very swingy for me. Kragnos is always very stressful to play against. Him having like more reliable range with a 3d6 charge, and the possibility of just nuking a Bloodthirster into oblivion if he rolled 2 dice really well. So with that, it's kind of weird that I'm doing the report on my own, my own like tournament report. But we had five fun rounds, and I was able to walk away with the golden spoon. Joseph Garay was able to come in with the silver spoon, and Francois Pollin was able to get the bronze spoon for 3rd place. The best painted went to Christoph, who had to leave early because we were worried that the storm was getting stronger, and he was able to walk away with some paint supplies, courtesy of Arkom Lounge, and because his Usharan is so gorgeous. So yeah, thank you to everyone who hosted the tournament. Thank you to all my opponents. I had lots of fun, and I just wanted to do this short segment to talk about my journey and playing through the tournament, playing with the Baleful Lords. Hopefully you gain some insight on how they're played. Hopefully you gain some insight on how to beat them. I think that it's a strong list. It's been going 4-1. This might be the first 5-0 I've seen of it that I know of, which very proud of it. But if not, that's also great. More power to my fellow Corn players. I think it has a lot of potential. It has some matchups that it automatically wins, and some matchups that I think it automatically loses. Like any army that can give -1 to hit, like Lumineth or Skaven, or just have ample recursion and ample MSUs, I think Baleful Lords struggles. But any army that is forced to be compact, anything that's slow and honest and relies on direct magic damage like Siege, well, sort of, because they have -1 to hit still. Like, any army like that will struggle against Baleful Lords. So, yeah, sorry if I sound a little nasally. I'm a little sick, but I hope you enjoyed this content. I'm going to be covering another GT later on, because today I covered the first ever Las Pinas GT, and later on I'll be covering the first ever Davao GT, if ever that video does come to fruition. And with that, I'd like to thank you for joining me. If you like this kind of content, give me a like, give us a sub, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.